Hey guys, I'm Sean Calloway and I'm the Director of New Product Development here at Anzo USA. Today we're going to be going over and installing our brand new full LED headlights for the 15 and up Tahoe. These replace the halogen version and they're available in a chrome version and a full black version. So let's dive in a little bit on the specs of the lights and go over them. Okay, so let's take a little bit closer look at this black headlight. We have our low beam, our high beam, our LED DRL across the center. Down here we have a sequential LED turn signal, which it'll start from here and scan all the way through. Over here on this side we have our LED styling, as well as two safety reflectors. Okay, so let's turn this around and check out what we have going on in the back. At first glance, we'll have our mounting tabs along the edge of the light. There's 4 of them. And then we have a resistor for the turn signal. Now what this does is it corrects the rate of flash, that way it doesn't fast blink. We have our beam adjuster, and this will adjust both high and low beam at the same time. These are the access ports to get into the back of the light. If you pop it open, you'll see that there's nothing in here. Nothing that you can actually get to. There's a lot of components inside that help this headlight operate properly. Then next, the last thing we have is our main connector. This will plug right into the factory wiring, and you'll mount the resistor, and we'll be good to go. So now let's jump on the vehicle and get it installed. Okay, so now let's go over the components that we have to remove from the vehicle in order to take the headlights out. The first one's going to be the core support cover. There's 12 push tabs that we'll pull out. Next, we'll have to release the top of the grille, and then also the side of the bumper here, because they're all connected as one. And we'll get into that here in a little bit. But let's go ahead and start by removing the core support cover. And on this, we're going to use our fork tool. And they're pretty easy. You just slide under the tab and pop them up, and then slide under the bottom and pull them right out. Again, there's 12 of these. Okay, so now that we've got the core support cover off, we can see that there are 6 bolts here that hold the top of the grille in. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our 10mm T-bar here. You can use a regular socket and wrench. And we're just going to go ahead and take these out. Okay, so the next step in order to release the headlight from here is going to be to loosen the side of the bumper here. And there's 6 7mm bolts in there, and all we're going to do is use our T-handle with the 7mm on the end of it. Okay, so the last thing we need to do before we start trying to get this bumper off is underneath along the back edge of the bumper, there is 8 10mm bolts. They look like this, silver in color. You're going to want to pull those out. This makes it a lot easier to just hang the bumper forward than it would be if you left them in and tried to pry everything forward. So I'm going to set this off to the side. I'm going to show you, so I've already removed those. And what I like to do is I like to take my pry tool, and right here under the edge, so there's no clips on this side, but there's a clip here and a clip here that locks it into place on the core support. So what I like to do is just use this to get under. That way it slides forward fairly easily. So you'll notice this is like this. Make sure everything's released. Set that off to the side. And now what we want to do is we want to take this, now that we've released all of these, and we just want to pull forward. So just to release that. So once it's like this, you can grab here at the grill, and there's 2 push tabs that are on either side of the grill, and you want to pull forward, grabbing the mesh here, and just make sure this is all released so you can slide this forward just like this. There's no need to drop your whole bumper off. Granted, it would be a lot easier, but you don't want to scratch it or anything along those lines. Now what we have is we have 4 bolts that hold the headlight in. So we have one up here on the fender, We have one here at the core support. We have one down here at the right underneath that holds it into the lower part of the core support. And then we have this one right here that's out on the outer edge. We'll pull those out, and then that'll free the headlight from the vehicle. Okay, so with our T-bar, we're just going to go ahead and pull these bolts out. Okay, so that's the last bolt holding the headlight in. Now, to remove the headlight, we're just going to grab down here on the bottom and get it to release, just like that. So you just want to be careful. That way you're not scratching anything. And you'll want to unplug your harness. There's a small slide tab, but you got to slide it forward or back. Pull it back. Like that. And then depress on it, and it comes right out. Okay, so we've got the stock unit out of the vehicle, and now it's time to put the new one in. So before we put this one in, we have the resistor that we have to mount. So what you want to do is you just want to find a spot out of the way. Right down here is acceptable, right behind the core support. It's a nice open spot. It's not going to hurt anything. You put that out of the way, that way you can install it without any issues. So as soon as we do that, kind of line this up a little bit. You will have to put it partially in the vehicle to get this down here. Then you'll want to plug it in. Lock your tab. Now, just line it back up. Careful with your components. It'll slide right in there. You'll line the side pin up here with the body mount hole, and then this tab right here will line up right here in the side piece. That way you can bolt it back down and there's no issues. So once that pops in and all the bolt holes are lined up, we can go and bolt this in and get the rest of the components back on the vehicle the same way we took them off. So we'll slide this back in, put the bolts back in across the bottom, along the side, on the top, and then put the core support cover back on. Okay, so we've got the new headlight in, we've got everything back together, bumpers back on, core support covers back on. The last thing we need to do is get a Phillips screwdriver and adjust the headlight. So that's right back here, right behind the core support, on the back side of the headlight. And with that set on there, you'll be able to twist it left and right, and the beams will move up and down. Both on this particular light, both high beam and low beam both move together. So all you need to do is turn on your low beams, adjust them to the height that you're looking for, and they'll both be set properly where they need to be. Now let's take a look at the lights and see how they look on the car.